Hello everyone. Well, today I will tell you something about events in their reality and their imprints in the fabrics of spacetime. This refers to radio waves in particular, but more generally to any waves at all. So not only electromagnetic ones, but also acoustic, gravitational, and so on. But let's begin with my first cry I uttered 53 years ago when I was born to this world. Forgive me this straightforward egoism that I'm giving an example of myself, but it's not that important at all. When I was born on a sunny day of July 1971, most probably I just started to cry right away and as loud as I could, creating acoustic waves, so in other words, changing the subtle structure of atmosphere around me. Now it will be cool. I come to the point, and here I am asking, if we had an enormously sensitive sound detector today, or in 1,000 of years in the future, whatever it could be, could we still give a listen to my newborn crying? Because my unbearable yelling then caused acoustic waves which started their way with the speed of sound around the atmosphere. But have they ever completely vanished from the atmosphere, or only just weakened to the point of being undetectable by any known instruments? Vanished into thin air. Now this phrase takes on its literal meaning. I'm sure they could not completely disappear from the world, and their almost infinitely subtle remains circle around the world still today. So that's only a question of a detector or amplifier or both sensitive enough to fish them out of the chaos of acoustic waves and make them audible again. I would keenly listen to my first expressions of wonder and amazement at the world I discovered myself in, and I do believe it will be possible sooner or later. But let's be realistic and rational. Any event affects the structure of reality and changes it forever and never completely disappears, never stops affecting it. The only catch is in its being weaker and weaker and weaker in time and space and so on. But is there a moment in time or a point in space in which we could state that the event is no longer in the world? My first cry still circles around the globe in form of acoustic waves. The only difference between their present form and their shape 53 years ago is in their being multitude of times weaker now than then. So let's construct the proper and smart detector. But acoustic waves are a tricky example of that eternity of effects caused by events. Their scene of action is limited to our atmosphere, and so they cannot leave the Earth. But radio waves do leave the Earth for good, and they do not need medium any other than spacetime. The same with gravitational waves. But I'm a radio amateur, not a professional physicist, so I'll stick to radio waves. Okay, more generally to electromagnetic waves, of which radio waves are only a tiny scrap. That's even better. Because we will want to watch dinosaurs, and in particular, to watch them being shocked by the impact the great asteroid that finally killed them all. That happened 66 million years ago, so the live vision of that horrible impact is still to be found 66 million light years from the Earth, because the images of that spectacle, which are just visible electromagnetic waves, travel through space-time with the speed of light. So for us, it will not be possible to watch that horror or to see a living dinosaur unless we construct a spaceship faster than light. But to aliens living on a planet 66 million light years from us, it'll be a piece of cake, provided they have a really strong telescope. So let them bake their popcorn just right off. And that's the way it is. The electromagnetic waves will travel through the universe forever and will never completely disappear. They will be weaker and weaker and weaker, but still present. So, in other words, any event that occurs in reality changes the fabrics of it forever and in a way remains in the world forever, only losing on its power. Very provocative. But is it really so? What does it have to do with information? Is information independent from consciousness? Is consciousness ubiquitous in the universe? What a question. I'll tell you more about it the next time. Okay, the divagation on events and their eternal imprints into reality was just a beginning to something more complex I'm currently thinking about and working on. But I'll tell you about it later in some other point of space-time. Hope you enjoyed it, at least a bit. 73.